Grand National will be held at Aintree on Saturday. Just a moment, I'll be finding out John Tyrrel's selections for this great steeplechase. But first of all, let's see the current 7-to-1 favourite Spartan Missile in action. Here he is, winning at Sandown just 2 weeks ago.
Spartan Missile in the lead from Coolish Hall in second place. 10 up is third. Spartan Missile in the lead. Comes to the final fence, comes to it, jumps it big and bold. Coolish Hall is in second. 10 up jumps it safely in third. And as they race up the hill towards the line, Spartan Missile stamping his authority, coming away from Coolish Hall in second place. Spartan Missile in the lead and clear, coming up to the line. Spartan Missile is going to win it. At the post, Spartan Missile, the winner.
John, Spartan Missile, favourite, owned, trained and ridden by 54-year-old John Thorne, who incidentally is, what, 7 pounds overweight. Taking all that into consideration, is he a good bet?
Well, I don't think so, David. I think it's really a question of striking a balance between a sporting endeavour, which of course it obviously is, and a sensible approach towards winning the race. Now, steeplechasing, for better or worse, got this sporting reputation compared to the flat. It's considered to be very commercial. I don't agree with that. I think that the flat's got very strong sporting traditions, but be it what it may, I think 7 pounds overweight in the most gruelling race over 4.5 miles is asking Spartan Missile to do a hell of a lot unnecessarily. When you consider that the best steeplechase rider in the world, probably, John Frankham, is going to watch the race on the grandstand. And of course, he could have ridden this horse. He was offered the chance, and John Thorne's elected to ride it himself. However, having said that, of course, he is definitely the best horse in the race. He ran a great Grand National trial in the Cheltenham Gold Cup just a couple of weeks ago. He's got a magnificent record at Aintree in hunter chases. And I hope that John Thorne can prove me wrong, actually. I don't think he will, and he's not for me.
All right, so Spartan Missile not for you then. Who is? Which horse?
Well, I'm going for 3 against the field, and the first one of those is Aldiniti. He's a class horse. He's won his only race this season. Terrific style at Ascot. He stays and he jumps really well. The local horse, trained at Findon by Josh Gifford, and the mount of Bob Champion. I think he's going to be my best selection.
So that's your main choice. The other two presumably are rather longer priced, typical Tyrrell selections.
Yes, a long-priced Irishman, first of all, Senator Maclacury. At 7, he's the youngest horse in the race, with good Irish form, ridden by John Burke, an experienced Aintree rider. And it's 6 years, you know, since the Irish actually won a Grand National. I think it's time they came good again.
So if anyone can pronounce that name, that's the one for you. What about the other long-priced one?
Easy to pronounce, Sebastion V. Only modest form this year. Won a race at Kelso back in January, but he's an accomplished Aintree performer. He was second to Lucius back in 1978. And we can see him now getting the best of a very exciting finish in the 1977 Scottish Crown.
They have one to go as they run now into this final one. It's our edition on the far side. Sebastion, it must be between these two. Sebastion still has the lead as they go in the final fence. And Sebastion comes down in the lead from our edition. They've got about 150 yards to go. And the Scottish Grand National looks like staying in Scotland because Sebastion still had the advantage. They come up towards the line. And Sebastion wins the 1977 Scottish Grand National.
So that's Sebastion winning, John. What about a horse called Martinstown, trained here in the south by a permit holder, Mrs. Mita Easton? What about his chances?
Well, he stays forever. I think the fences might find him out. He hasn't been round Aintree before, but he has won twice at Cheltenham. A bit on the slow side for me, I think.
All right, so that one, we shall see, indeed, what happens on Saturday. John, thank you very much indeed. Right, a quick final reminder then of John Tyrrell's selections. Let's have a look at them and just confirm them. Aldiniti, that's John's main selection for the Grand National. His best outsiders, Senator Maclacury and Sebastion V. Well, we mentioned Martinstown just a moment ago. This is the horse trained by a Dorset grandmother and landlady, ridden by the barman, Malcolm Matinstown. And James Montgomery has been along to take a look at one of the South's big race contenders.
Malcolm Matinstown has been serving behind the bar of the Sheaf of Arrows in Cranborne for 3.5 years. His boss, Mrs. Mita Easton, has owned the pub for 4.5 years. Together they make a formidable team on 2 fronts, quenching customers' thirsts and breeding and racing horses. Mrs. Easton has always loved the world of the turf. Even throughout her busy and demanding career as a hospital anaesthetist, she owned and trained racehorses. As for her galloping barman, he happens to be the tallest jockey in Britain. In this morning's soaking rain, this confident 21-year-old amateur spared Mrs. Easton's first Grand National contender from a mount. She bred Martinstown and has trained him right through his 9 years.
In a way, he's not a bold horse. He doesn't take a lot of chances. But he enjoys jumping, and this year he's started jumping very well. But it's taken him rather a long time to learn.
On New Year's Day, the horse made news by winning the 4-mile Bass Chase at Cheltenham, despite his 6-foot 3-inch jockey being 24 pounds overweight.
You should have seen what I drank the night before. and there. I just went mad. Well, I didn't think I was riding him, so went out and saw the new year in good style.
They get on very well, Malcolm and Martinstown. They have a sort of understanding. I think the horse has got great confidence in him.
Do you have any misgivings at all about Saturday?
No, none at all, no. I think the horse, well, as far as you can tell without actually going there, I think the horse was made for it. I mean, he stays forever, and he's, as far as we can tell, he's a good jumper. He's answered every question that's been asked of him, so it's just whether he can actually do it or not.
If he were to get round, of course, I should be terribly thrilled, even if he doesn't win.
I also feel honoured to be, riding at all. It's something to go to the gate of the Grand National. Not many people get the chance to do that, so obviously it's, big honour like that. I suppose the only fear is to make a fool of yourself.
It's a long way around. I mean, even in a 3-mile chase, sometimes you wish you could go away and come back to just for the last 100 yards,
At the moment, the betting's around 40 to 1 for the National. The Cranborne regulars didn't place a single bet for Martinstown's last win. I wonder if they will this week. Whatever John Tyrrel says, remember, more 9-year-olds have won the National than any other age group. And this horse is a stayer.
Thank you, James. I think, like a sensible lad, I'll keep my money in my pocket. Well, that's it. Next week, we've got, amongst other things, netball for you and more racing, with Mike Field going along to visit Guy Harwood's stables in Sussex as we preview Harwood's chances on the flat this season. That's all next time. And finally, just a brief look at a late national headline. Ireland's Rugby Football Union tonight reaffirmed their determination to go ahead with the tour to South Africa in May. Leaders of the IRFU rejected a call from the Dublin government to call off the trip because of South Africa's apartheid policies. Well, that's about it for tonight on the sporting scene. So now let's cross back to Cliff and the rest of Day by Day.
Aren't you really going to give us a tip for the Grand National on Saturday? I mean, one to rank with your last Saturday's tip, which was my John Charlotte at Newbury, which turned out to be a field day for the bookies and not a field day for everyone in the studio.
I'm keeping quiet, Cliff.
No tip at all?
No tip at all.
Not even one?
By Bob Champion. And their success meant success too for our racing expert, John Tyrrel. Aldiniti at 10 to 1 was John's main selection for the National. He also picked Sayer, the 14 to 1 winner of the Lincoln, so the intrepid Tyrrel then achieved the coveted spring double. John's other National selections were Senator Maclacury, which finished 5th, and Sebastion V, which was 11th out of the 12 horses to complete the course. He's now been retired. The horse, that is, not John. Well, this week, John Tyrrel stays with the National Hunt Racing for his Southsport selections. His midweek winner is Line Shooter, an each-way bet in the 305 at Ascot on Wednesday. His Saturday special, Jur, 255 at Ayr. That's the Scottish Grand National. You can see it on World of Sport.